You're eating healthily, you've got into a good routine with your fitness, and your weight loss is on track. You're dreading Christmas because you know this means overeating, lazing around, and endless temptation for things that aren't in your plan. Good news is, it is possible to enjoy the holidays without derailing your weight loss. Stick with me for 5 mindset tips for managing eating and exercise over the Christmas period. And although this video is about Christmas, it's really relevant for any holidays throughout the year. I'm Dr. Paula Watson. I'm a psychologist specialising in therapy for people struggling with weight problems, eating disorders and exercise. On my channel, I share psychological tips to help you put the stuff my clients find really helpful into action at home. As humans, we've got a tendency to be very all or nothing. And at Christmas, for most of us, it's usually all. So rules out the window, we let ourselves overindulge, we accept we're going to gain weight. So we might as well write off December and get back on track in January. But whilst this might be a lot of fun, it also involves a lot of physical discomfort, disappointment with ourselves, and a tough task to get going again in January. So instead of being all or nothing, the trick for managing Christmas if you're losing weight is to embrace the idea of moderation. It can be hard to know how to do moderation, especially if you've never had experience of it. So particularly at Christmas, where so much is out of our control, we might be at big family gatherings, we might be constantly surrounded by boxes of chocolates, our usual gym might be closed. But follow these 5 tips and trust me, you'll be able to stay healthy, have fun, and even allow yourself a little indulgence along the way. Mindset tip 1, trust that any weight gain will be temporary. A moderate, balanced lifestyle is always going to involve some ups and downs. It's normal and good for us even to let ourselves enjoy a few more indulgences in the holidays and for our exercise routines to change a little bit. These changes, they might lead to a small gain in weight or a small reduction in fitness. But in a sense, these aren't real gains or losses. As soon as we get back to our usual routine, that temporary weight will naturally drop off and our fitness will quickly get back to where it was. Now, you need to trust me on this. When you're losing weight, your aim isn't for your weight to drop every single week. This simply doesn't happen. And there's always going to be weekly fluctuations. So what you're aiming for is a gradual trend of your weight decreasing over time. We only really have a true picture of our weight by taking averages over several weeks, which is why I recommend the 4 weekly weighing method in my other video. If we think of it this way, even if you do have a small weight gain over Christmas, it will make no difference to your longer term weight loss journey, which is about sustainable changes over time, which if you're human is naturally going to include some ups and downs. This mindset tip is really about taking the pressure off and being kind to yourself. So even if you do gain a little weight, this doesn't mean you've gone backwards. It's a normal part of learning how to have a healthy, balanced and enjoyable lifestyle. And it's trusting that that weight gain is only going to be temporary. Mindset tip 2, remember your festive spirit. Christmas means different things to different people. So for some of us, it's a religious festival. For others, it may be about rest, relaxation, or enjoying time with friends and family. But whatever it is for you, remember this is a holiday and you deserve to enjoy yourself. I want to remind you here of the first point we talked about. So a few indulgences here or there aren't going to affect your long-term health and fitness goals. Enjoyment is something I talk a lot about with clients because it's so important in losing weight in a way that you can keep off in the long term. So let your hair down and enjoy food as a social occasion. Take the opportunity to give your body a break from the intense gym routine. Be flexible and be kind to yourself. It's okay to ease off the pedal for a couple of weeks. Mindset tip 3, remember your personal goals regardless of what others are doing. Talked about how little weight gain isn't anything to worry about and how it's important to remember your festive spirit. But this doesn't mean you need to throw all rules out the window. When we're thinking about weight gain, there's a difference between a temporary fluctuation of a pound or 2, which will drop off easily, and having a huge blowout and gaining half a stone, which is going to be harder to shift. So think some rather than all or none. Remind yourself of your longer term goals and why losing weight is important to you. Think about the strategies that have been helping you stay on track so far. So which of these can you keep going over the Christmas period? For example, if you've been sticking to a regular eating schedule, there's no reason why you can't keep this going. Perhaps you'll need to be a bit more flexible here or there, or ease things off a bit around the big Christmas meals, but that's okay. Don't worry about what everyone else around you is doing. So if others aren't having breakfast because they want to save themselves for the big feast, but you know that having breakfast is going to help you control your eating later, do it. It's up to you what you eat, when you eat, and how much you eat. You know your personal goals, and they're not anybody else's business. It's also helpful to keep some movement going. And not only is that going to help you feel better about yourself and feel healthy over Christmas, but it's also going to help with long-term consistency. So this may look different over the holidays. So set yourself some realistic goals and plan in how and when you're going to do some movement. And if you know that getting out for some runs will give you some headspace and a break over the Christmas period from all that chaos, stick with what's important to you. Don't worry that it may be different from how others like to spend Christmas. Mindset tip 4, moderate your portions. One of the most challenging things at Christmas is the endless temptation. So open tins of chocolates, biscuits in the office, family buffets with food available 24/7. Again, I want to remind you of the sum rather than all or nothing principle here. Don't try and deprive yourself of everything, because sooner or later the bubble will burst. Instead, use strategies to keep yourself in control and to make things easier for yourself. So here's a few things that my weight loss clients have found helpful. Decide in advance how many chocolates you're going to have, then portion them out and take them away from the open tin to eat. If you know there's going to be unhealthy snacks in the office that you'd rather not eat, try taking in your own snacks, something alternative, healthy, but still enjoyable. And if you find yourself tempted to go back for more chocolates, stop and ask yourself, what does my body need right now? Often when we feel hunger, it may actually be thirst we're feeling, or perhaps we're bored and just eating for the sake of it. So what our body actually needs is either a drink or a more interesting activity to distract us. Before moving on to mindset tip 5, let's talk about one of the biggest challenges at Christmas and the other holidays, the buffet. I don't know what it is about buffets, but we seem to think that because food's laid out and freely available, our stomachs need 5 times the amount. Or certainly my brain seems to think that. So I'm a sucker for this, and I'm constantly going back thinking just one more, and about 7 times later, I can't move or breathe. So I sometimes think, imagine if you put everything I'd eaten at that buffet on one plate, what would it look like? Something that can help with this, particularly if you're watching your weight, is to treat a buffet like a normal meal. So instead of going back multiple times, try portioning yourself out one full plate, eating mindfully and slowly, then consider your meal finished. Or if one course feels too limited, try thinking of it as a smaller starter plate, then a fuller main plate. Or for buffets where there's perhaps lots of new and exciting foods, some of my clients like to first have a taster course where they try a really tiny amount of a few things. Then they choose what they're going to have on their one full main plate. Either way, it's the notion that you're paying attention to how much you're eating and giving each course a discrete start and end that matters. Mindset tip 5, don't be tempted to restrict in January. This is perhaps the hardest. If you follow mindset tips 1 to 4, that is, so you know any small weight gains are going to be temporary, you stay in the festive spirit, you follow your personal goals and you moderate your portions, there will be no need to restrict in January. Simply going back to your usual routine will be enough for your weight to fall back in line and to regain any fitness lost. This may feel a huge mindset shift because perhaps all you've ever known is to have a huge blowout over Christmas, then a total detox in January. But the reason this doesn't work is it again takes us into that all or nothing cycle, and sooner or later our body's going to feel deprived and we fall into a binge. Because we know the greatest cause of binging is because we've been starving our body. So if this is something that you struggle with, you might like to check out my other video on how to stop binging in the evening. The only way to really believe this is to try it. So my challenge to you is to try out the mindset tips in this video, resist the temptation to restrict in January and see what happens. Then come back and tell me in the comments. And if you're interested in psychological support for weight loss, I'm available for weight loss therapy all year round. So drop me an email for a free discovery chat or sign up to my newsletter for tips throughout the year. And always remember, it's some, not all or none. Thanks for watching, and whenever and wherever you're watching this, I wish you a happy and a healthy holiday season.